Hey guys, how you doing? Will here back for another fight card prediction. I'm actually going to do two predictions here. UFC on Fox 10 from Chicago, and we're going to do UFC 169 from New York, New Jersey, where Uriah Faber and Henan Barrow compete once again for the UFC Bantamweight Championship after Dominic Cruz pulled out yet again with an injury, which is very unfortunate for him. I'm going to get into that in a minute. We've got a fight card in a couple of days' time from Duluth, Georgia, where Rockhold and Philippou will face off in the middleweight division. I just want to give a big shout out to Kingdom MMA on Twitter. For all your MMA needs, guys, go to their website, kingdommma.co.uk. There will be a link below to take you to the website, to their Twitter handle. Go give the guys a follow and go read the articles. They've got some phenomenal articles about top European fighters that may make their way into the UFC in 2014 and other great things as well. So go follow the guys at Kingdom MMA and go to the website kingdommma.co.uk. We're going to get straight into this fight card here from Chicago. We're going to start off with a fight that was made last night, and I'm very, very happy with this. It's a great way to start 2014 for me personally. I'm a big fan of this guy. Mike Biggie Rhodes signed a contract with the UFC last night, and he's fighting in Chicago against George Sullivan. Sullivan's 14-3-1, I believe. I read an article about brutality in MMA, which he was kind of featured in, and it wasn't a great article, to be fair, but I'm a big fan of Mike Biggie Rhodes. 6-1, he was the RFA welterweight champion, and now he's getting his chance to come into the UFC. He fights out Rufus Sport in Milwaukee with the Pettis brothers, Dustin Ortiz, Ben Askren, Eric Koch, Chico Camus, and so on and so on. He's a really, really solid fighter and a great addition to the welterweight division. Really looking forward to see him fighting in the UFC, and I think he will get this win. I think he can knock him out, to be fair, but I think he may take a decision. They say his only loss in his career is to the streaking Brandon Thatch, who has made a name since he came into the UFC, knocking people out left, right and centre. So I like Mike Biggie Rhodes. I think I'm going to go by decision. I think it'll be a close fight. Quite nervous between two new fighters in the UFC, so I'm going to go Mike Biggie Rhodes. Next up, we've got Walt Harris and Nikita Krylov in the heavyweight division. Not going to get into this. Nikita Krylov was horrible against Soa Palale at 164. Walt Harris will knock him out in the first round. Next up, we move to lightweight division, I think it is. It's Darren Cruikshank against Mike Rio. Mike Rio's job's in the line here. He doesn't win this fight, he will not be in the UFC anymore. Both coming off losses. I think it's both submission losses. Darren Cruikshank got submitted by Adriano Martins, who's in this card as well, and Mike Rio is facing Mike Rio lost to Tony Ferguson last time at UFC 166. I can't see any way that Mike Rio can really hurt Darren Cruikshank in this fight. I know he's a wrestler, he may take him down. Cruikshank, he's a karate guy, he throws great angles, he throws some nice kicks, his footwork's great. I think this is a good fight for him. I think he can knock out Mike Rio fairly easily in this fight as well, so I'm going to go Darren Cruikshank by a knockout in the second round. Next up, we've got Hugo Viana against Ramiro Jr. Hernandez. Hernandez lost in his UFC debut against Lucas Martins in Brazil last year. It was a very exciting fight, if I remember, in that contest. Hugo Viana, I think he's won his 2 fights against John Teixeira, and I can't remember who he fought last time out, but I know he won. Close fight. I thought Junior Hernandez was looking good against Lucas Martins, to be fair, last time out. So I'm going to go Junior Hernandez by, I think he can knock Viana out. I'll go second round knockout. Next up, we've got Chico Camus against Yatsin Meza. Chico Camus got a gift last time out. No other way about it, against Kyung Ho Kang. He was losing the first 2 rounds. He definitely won the third round against Kang, but he got given a hometown decision, no doubt about it. I like Camus. I like all the kind of Rufus Sport guys, to be fair, but he did get given that fight, and he says he won against Dustin Paige, got submitted by Dustin Kimura, and he's got that win against Kang. He's against Meza here, who made his UFC debut, I believe, against Chad Mendes in Australia. Got knocked out. Not many people are sticking around with Chad Mendes at the minute anyway, so and won against John Albert last time out. Close fight. I believe it'll go to decision. I think Camus is just a wee bit too gritty for Mesa, so I'm going to go Chico Camus by unanimous decision. Bantamweight division, we've got Eddie Wineland against Yves Joubain. Eddie Wineland's come back after that knockout from Henan Barao. He was doing alright in that fight until Barao threw the spinning kick, knocked him down, and just finished the fight from there. And he's been kind of streaking of late, knocked out Scott Jorgensen. Not many people do that. As I say, he's against Yves Joubain here, who's fighting for the first time since June at UFC 161, where he got a split decision victory over Dustin Paige. Before that, he got knocked out by Brad Pickett, and a win before that against Jeff Howland. Close. I don't think this will be a close fight, sorry. I think Eddie Wineland's superior kind of footwork and boxing will negate Joubain, and I think Eddie Wineland can catch him with something, so I'm going to go Eddie Wineland by a second round knockout. Moving on, we've got Alex Casillas against Sergio Pettis. Another fight I'm looking forward to, just the fact that Sergio Pettis, I'm big on the Rufus Sport guys, one of the best camps in MMA. He had a really tough fight in his UFC debut against Will Campuzano. A few people were saying that he maybe lost that fight, but he had a really tough fight, stepping up against a guy from I think it was a higher weight class as well, a lower weight class. It came back up and it had UFC experience before. He's against Alex Casillas here, 9-5 record. He was supposed to fight an Australian's Mitch Gagnon, but something happened there, and he got pulled from that fight. He won his last fight, I believe, against Ronald Delorme, I think it was. Yeah, he beat Ronald Delorme by a split decision at UFC 165. See, this is another tough fight for Sergio Pettis. They're giving him really tough fights to start his UFC career. I do like him in this fight. I think he will win. But it is a very close fight. But I believe Sergio Pettis has just got a bit too many tools for Casillas, and will get a unanimous decision. Move on to the main card. We've got, and it starts off with Darren Elkins against Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens. Stevens is a beast. Huge fan of Stevens. Was watching his fights the other day there. Marcus Davis's knockout was just fucking sick. And there's Rafael dos Anjos as well. He's came down to the featherweight division, and he's looked very good since he moved down to that division, with wins over Esteban Payan and a fucking sick knockout of Ronnie Jason last time out in Brazil for that. I think he might have got knocked out of the night in that event, but he stopped a really dangerous guy. Not many people were giving Stevens much of a hope in that fight against Jason. I was one of them, which is, I shouldn't have realised that because I'm a big Stevens fan, but I thought Jason was too tough here. He's against Darren Elkins, a gritty wrestler who's very tough. This I can see Stevens hurting him, but I can't see him finishing it. I'm going to go Jeremy Stevens by unanimous decision. Another great fight after this, we've got Donald Cowboy Cerrone against Adriano Martins. Martins, there's no point in hyping this guy up. I think for the ages that you just push him and give him the good fights right away. He won his last fight. I believe he submitted who did he submit? Darren Cruikshank last time out. But last time out, when we saw the Cowboy, he looked phenomenal against Evan Dunham. And I got that prediction absolutely spot on. I thought his submission skills would come back into this, and he caught him in a nice choke, put him to sleep. I'm finding this a really tough fight to call, because we don't know what Cowboy shows up. If the original Cowboy shows up, who just comes out, throws them hard kicks to the body, solid jabs, his movement bouncing around. Donald Cowboy Cerrone should win this fight, but if it goes to the ground and Martins gets the top position, I believe that he can finish this fight as well. So I'm just going to go with Donald Cerrone. I think he'll get a decision over Martins here. Co-main event, heavyweight division, Stipe Miocic versus Gabriel Gonzaga. Gabriel Gonzaga is kind of his second wind in his UFC career right now. 4 of his last 5 fights he's won. The only loss in the 5 fights was to Travis Brown, who is streaking at the minute, who's beating everybody. Stipe Miocic coming off a huge win at UFC 161 from Canada last year when he beat Roy Nelson, and he's moved himself up the ladder here. Stipe Miocic, a solid boxer. Gonzaga, a solid jiu-jitsu guy, But I think on the feet, Stipe Miocic has got the advantage here, and I think he may catch Gabriel Gonzaga late on in this fight and stop the fight. So I'm going to go Stipe Miocic, early third round TKO. And then the main event of UFC on Fox 10 is the ex-UFC lightweight champion Benson Henderson returning after he lost his title to Anthony Showtime Pettis last year against the Punk Josh Thompson. Thompson's coming off a huge win himself. He was slated to face Pettis back in December, Sacramento, before Pettis got injured. He knocked out Nate Diaz, and nobody knocks out Nate Diaz. He was awesome that night. Hit him with a few head kicks that really hurt him, and then finished him with the punches. This is going to be a top class fight. I don't see either one of them finishing one another. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen with Benson Henderson, I believe. Thompson's a veteran of the sport. I think this has got decision written all over it, and I'm going to go Benson Henderson by unanimous decision. So that's my fight card predictions for UFC on Fox 10 from Chicago. We move on to a huge card from New York, New Jersey, from the Prudential Center for UFC 169. We've got Renan Barão against Uriah Faber in a rematch from UFC 149. We'll go into that later. We'll go right to the start of the card. And we'll go with that, and we'll see where we start off. We start off with Neil Magny against Ghassan Umalatov. Umalatov, a mouthful, sorry. 15-1, I believe. I've seen a few of his fights through M1. He's a grappler. You know what these guys from the kind of Middle East kind of do. They grapple you. They're very strong, good striking, great submissions. Neil Magny, a tall kind of rangy fighter, likes to kind of move, pop off some punches, throw some nice hooks, but he's not great on the ground. I think Umalatov here is just going to swarm him, and he's going to hurt him, and I believe he could probably stop the fight maybe in the third round. If not, he will get a unanimous decision, I think, fairly easily. So I'm going to go Umalatov by unanimous decision, I think. So yeah. Next up, we've got Rashid Magomedov against Tony Martin. Tony Martin, 8-0. Don't know much about the kid. Watched a few of his fights on YouTube the last few days. Doesn't seem anything too spectacular. Rashid Magomedov, as I was going on about the previous fighter there, Umalatov, great grappling. Only lost once. He likes to bang as well. I think this has got Magomedov written all over it. I think he can stop this fight again. I think he'll do it at the end of the second round. So Magomedov by TKO second round. Next up, a really interesting fight. If you've kind of watched a few of the fighters from Canada, not Canada, sorry, from like the undergrounds. You've got Andy Enns coming into the UFC against Clint Hester. Hester looked phenomenal in Australia when he beat Dylan Andrews. He looked like he was coming on strong in that fight, was really hurting Dylan Andrews, and then it had kind of stopped due to an injury and he knocked him out. Andy Enns is 7-0. He fights out the Gracie Barra Alaska team. He's got submissions, a lot of submissions, so it's a kind of classic striker versus grappler here, submission artist. Clint Hester's very strong on the feet, big athletic guy, huge guy. Originally I liked Andy Enns in this fight because I thought eventually it's going to hit the floor and he's going to catch him with something, but I think I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go with Clint Hester by unanimous decision. Next up, we've got Al Iaquinta against Kevin Lee, who's making his debut in the UFC. Lee is a very good guy that was on the underground circuit for a while. I think he's 6-0, 3 wins by unanimous decision and 3 by submission. Very tough guy when it goes to the ground. He's very scrappy, and this is going to be a scrappy fight. It's going to be a close fight, this one. This has got split, I think, written all over it. Al Iaquinta looked very good last time against Peter Hallman in Manchester. Met him down there, great guy. Got a lot of time for him and his team, the Sierra Longa team. He's been training with the Team Alpha Male for this camp, so expect some maybe better stand up from him. He's a good wrestler, a little bit not the best on the feet, but he is very dangerous, throwing heavy shots. Tough fight. I think I may just go Kevin Lee on this one by unanimous decision in his UFC debut. Next up, we've got a home time favourite, Nick Catone against England's own Tom Kong Watson. Tong Watson, he's lost a couple of fights. He had a good win over Nedkov back here in Britain. Last time out, I can't remember who he lost to last time out. Let me see who it was. I know Brad Tavares was his first UFC fight where he lost. It was Thales Leites, the returning Thales Leites, of course, last time out. Nick Catone, I think he's come off a couple of losses here. Chris Camozzi and TJ Wahlberger, where he got submissions and submitted in the triangle choke. Tough fight. It's going to go to decision. Tong Watson comes forward, tries to make it a very exciting fight. Nick Catone's wrestling, I think, is going to come in here, and I think he's going to take him down, and he's going to get a split decision victory. Another great fight here, great matchmaking here. I think it's maybe Sean Shelby and maybe Sean Shelby that made this match up, but it's Chris Carriasso against Kyoji Horiguchi. Carriasso's come off a win in Brazil, I believe, if I remember right, a few months back. But Horiguchi in his UFC debut looked a banger. He came in there and he knocked out Dustin Paige in the second round, and he just got heavy shots. For a flyweight, he's going to hurt a lot of people. I like Horiguchi in this fight, and I believe he will stop Chris Carriasso as well by TKO, and I reckon he'll do it in the second round again. So Horiguchi by TKO in the second. Next up, we've got John McDessie against Alan Patrick. Patrick coming off a win in his UFC debut, a knockout in the second round. He's weird with his movement and the way he throws punches and kicks, but he caught his last opponent, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. Very, very dangerous on his feet, and he's somebody that you've got to watch out for. McDessie, who is always a threat on his feet with spinning attacks, coming off 3 wins in a row over Sam Stout, Darren Cruikshank, and he knocked out Henry Force last time out. John McDessie TKO in this fight. I believe it can happen. I think it'll happen in the third round even in this fight. So I'm going to go McDessie by TKO. Moving on to the main card, which is a stellar main card for one of the first pay-per-views of the year. We have Jamie Varner, who's coming in here for King Bobby Green, who was injured, against Abel the Killer Trujillo from the Black Zillions. I'm a very big fan here of Abel Trujillo, but I just don't think his grappling's on point. His striking definitely is. He hits hard. He knocked out Roger Bowling in their rematch. He looked at a destroyer in that fight, but Jamie Varner he's a solid fighter everywhere. He's coming in short notice here. Hard pick, as I like Abel Trujillo a lot. I think he can catch Jamie Varner, but Jamie Varner's wrestling, I think, is going to come into this. So Trujillo's got to use that kind of good footwork to get away from Varner, stop the takedown. Toss a coin here for me. I think I'm going to go Jamie Varner by unanimous decision. Next up, we're in the flyweight division in an absolute great fight. You have John Lineker against Ali Bagatinov, who's made a great start to his UFC career. I want to tell you about John Lineker. When I was down in Manchester, he missed weight. He went out the hotel when we were in there. He came back with 2 pizzas. No wonder the guy's missing weight. Back there, they had Dustin Poirier's coach was over there with the American Top Team. I think Jimmy Drysdale, I think his name is. And Dana White was on at him to get this guy to American Top Team to try and control his weight. If he controls his weight, he's going to be a killer at this division. He's already a killer. He knocked out Phil Harris, and see the sound of his shots in the arena against Phil Harris. You could hear that, and there was pounding sounds, and you could tell why this guy knocks out so many people. But he has got a tough fight here against Ali Bagatinov, who is a top grappler. He's quite heavy on the hands as well. Not as heavy as Lineker is, but hurts people. He had a huge win against Tim Elliott last time out, who's a very, very tough guy and a top guy in that division. This is all about if John Lineker can catch him early, he will knock him out. The longer this fight goes on, I'm leaning towards Bagatinov. Would like to see John Lineker win, as I think he's a very big threat to Johnson on the feet. Maybe not the grappling, but I'm going to go with Ali Bagatinov, I think, by unanimous decision. Next up, heavyweight fight. Huge fight, great fight. Probably the last fight of the UFC career for either one of these guys. We've got Frank Mir, the former UFC champion, against Alistair Overeem. Not a huge Overeem fan, as many will know. respect the guy a lot. He's got some talent, a very cocky guy, but he just can't seem to get out the first round. And when he does, he kind of gasses and he gets caught like he did with Bigfoot Silva. He hurt Travis Brown and didn't finish him, blew his wad. Travis Brown got his feet front, kicked him to the face and knocked him out. Frank Mir, you go to the ground, this guy, he snaps limbs, plain and simple. But he has some, he has a good top game as well. A good fight on his feet. He can stop fights from punches, but not Alistair Overeem. Once Alistair Overeem kind of clinches with you, he throws knees, very, very hurtful knees, and can stop you from that, like he nearly did with Travis Brown. Frank Mir, he trains at Jackson, so he's probably been in the ear of Travis Brown a lot, what to do. Tough fight. I think I want Frank Mir to win, but I'm going to go Alistair Overeem by TKO in the third, and that'll be the end of Frank Mir's career. He's one of the best UFC heavyweights there's been. Co-main event, a title fight, Jose Aldo against Ricardo Lamas. Great fight. Lamas tough as nails, coming off a couple of wins over Eric Koch. Before that, Hayoki, Cub Swanson, Matt Grice. So the guy's definitely earned his title shot here against Jose Aldo. Aldo is one of the best. I reckon this may be Jose Aldo's last fight, or maybe second last fight before he moves up to lightweight. I think it's only a matter of time. He's explosive striker. When you go to the ground with him, he's very tough down there, hard to take down. If you get him down, he's not going to stay there long. This is his first fight since August, when he knocked out Chan Sung Jung. Before that, he beat Frankie Edgar and Chad Mendes before that. So tough fight. But I just feel Jose Aldo is just a little bit too good for Ricardo Lamas, and he'll get a late stoppage. So I'm going to go fourth round TKO for Ricardo Lama, for Jose Aldo, sorry. And then the main event of the night, we have Renan Barão against Uriah Faber. Faber's stepping up here for Dominic Cruz, who, poor guy, about 2.5 years, he's had injuries left, right and centre. Had another injury here and had to vacate his title, which he should have done about 1.5 years ago, in my opinion. As Barão was beating people, McDonald, he beat Faber, Brad Pickett as well, so he's beating top guys. Uriah Faber's coming off a huge win from Sacramento here. He had a great 2013. I think he reeled off 4 wins. He had Scott Jorgensen, Michael McDonald, Uriah Alcantara was one of them as well, one of his victories. So a great year, and Ivan Menjivar as well, and I think most of them by submissions, except for Alcantara. I'm a huge Team Alpha Male guy. I'm a huge Uriah Faber fan. I'm going to be pulling for Uriah Faber here, but he's got a very, very, very tough fight against Renan Barão, who is just dynamic everywhere and can hurt you everywhere, and he did that against Uriah Faber at UFC 149. I just believe that this is Uriah Faber's time. So I'm going to go with underdog here. I'm going to go with Uriah Faber, unanimous split decision. Uriah Faber by split decision. So that's my fight picks for 2 cards. Tell me your picks, guys. I always like to know your picks. Come follow me on Twitter, BigBulba7MMA. In the drop down box there, I'm going to have the links to Kingdom MMA. Go follow them, guys. They do great work, as I said at the start of the video. So please go check out the guys. I'll be back here for UFC 170 from is that Rousey? Yeah, Ronda Rousey against Sarah McMahon. I may be back before that. I think there's a card in Brazil as well. So take care. Come follow me on Twitter. Like the video. Peace.